my name is Michelle Cates, and I'm going to talk to you about the English Language Arts Standards. I've been teaching for 20 years, and when the Common Core Standards came out in 2010, I was thrilled. I was part of the original cohorts that met with all the principals down in Miami to discuss them and find out about them, and I've taught about them all over the state of Florida. So since I am a Florida teacher, we call them the Florida Standards, but they are almost identical to the Common Core Language Arts Standards, except for the addition of handwriting and a few small word tweaks. So in my opinion, my experience, they are a huge improvement over what we had before. The first main thing that jumps out at me is that all teachers are responsible for teaching language arts, not just the English teachers. So we now have separate areas in the Common Core Standards for social studies and history teachers, and then a whole nother section for science and technical subjects. So while language arts teachers are incredibly important for forming language skills, students also need to be able to read and write in other subject areas. And this is important not only for college, but also for real life applications like reading the newspaper, making your own judgments about what is going on in politics based on what you hear and what you see, and even putting together that IKEA bookshelf. You need to be able to have a diverse experience in language, and we all need to teach those skills. Another thing also, since I've been a non-traditional, like I'm not a classroom teacher for most of my time, it also affirms my place in the education system. So the first 2 years I did teach 4th grade, but then 16 years I was a school librarian, and I taught all 1,000 kids in 6 classes a day, so I did have instructional responsibility. Then I currently teach business computers, primarily Microsoft Office, at the high school level. So it affirms the need for a well-rounded education. The other thing is that our original standards focused in English mostly on literature, and then secondarily some nonfiction, and then, if you got around to it at the end of the year, maybe a little bit of research where you compare things. But now with the new Common Core Standards, you push all of that to the forefront. Nonfiction, reading and writing, are equally or more important as the literature is. And all of that text needs to be on grade level. So when you have a student who is not reading up to grade level, and this is even in your history classes, you don't water down the text. Now you can give them less text to make it easier for them to comprehend, but you don't give them watered down lower grade level text. Other things that were pushed to the forefront are the talking skills, the speaking skills, and yes, presentation skills, but also the need to just communicate with other people, to formulate ideas in your mind and then express them in a conversation. And I can't explain how important this is. When kids have conversations, that's when they can really engage with the content. So talking is super important, and the standards reflect that. Finally, digital media is an important part of the new standards. So it is important that kids can express themselves with PowerPoints and graphs and charts and all the different various ways, and videos. All of this is an important part of communication, and that is part of the standards, again, not just for English teachers, but for all the teachers. So what does this look like in my classroom? Well, when I was a school librarian, I collaborated with teachers on research projects, and I would take the responsibility of teaching them then how to take their final papers and turn them into digital projects, and then how to present them. Now that I am a business computer teacher at the high school level, I really focus on those technical words and how to read tasks. So my Microsoft class is not a project-based class. That's not what it's designed to be. It is a skill-based simulation type of class. Students are given a task, such as for PowerPoint. Go on the slide master, format the footer to the default setting of Calibri 12 points bold. Students do not inherently, they actually need to learn how to read that task. Now we know they're picking out the word and the object, I call it a core skill, but they need to be able to say, all right, at its most basic, I need to format a footer. And where am I going to do it? Then you pick that out. So this kind of reading for comprehension is incredibly important for any manual from real life or once you start getting into college. Vocabulary, I can't emphasize vocabulary instruction enough. That is critical for any technical subject, science, social studies, all of that. You're not born knowing these words, and you're not going to see them all in language arts. And they need to have this teaching around it to understand the context. These words that are in technical subjects will show up in real life. An easy way that somebody far smarter than me kind of rounded all of this out is when you're building your lesson plans to emphasize 3 words, and that's talk, text, and task. So always have students interacting with text that's on text that is on grade level, but they need to talk about it, and they need to have a task that is surrounding with it. And that's an easy way to simplify the standards so that you're hitting multiple areas. Another thing is that's super duper important is you start with the standard. Don't go in saying, I know what I want to do. Can I find some standard that will help it match? You look at the standard, you break it down to the benchmarks, see what the actual objectives are. That is what you develop your lesson around or your unit around, and that is what you assess. The standards need to drive your instruction. There's plenty of room of creativity, but don't have your creativity overwhelm what kids need to be teaching. All right, sorry. So anyway, thanks for listening. This is Michelle Gates, and good luck.